Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's rocking episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and my goodness, we have an amazing show set for you today. So get ready, sit back, grab your coffee, your bagel, whatever you're having for breakfast, and just enjoy the next 2 hours of the best gaming talk on Friday mornings. And of course, right along with the outstanding and ridiculous topics, I have a panel of superstars. So I want to introduce them. And first up, our regular panel member, you know him as our resident trophy platinum hunting PlayStation person. And I want to say that, first of all, BitCloud, it is so great to have you a part of this show. And what I appreciate about you being on this show each and every week is because you bring the honesty. Sure, our opinions may differ when it comes to PlayStation versus Xbox, but you do bring it 100, and I appreciate you being a part of this show. Welcome, dude.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Another Friday. Let me tell you, another Friday.
Another Friday that we're alive, so I'll take it.
Another Friday we're alive. Got stuff to look forward to. You know, things are getting, well, hopefully things get better, but hopefully everybody who's watching is safe.
Yes, that's
definitely taking the time. I know this is taking a toll on everybody. I had to talk to my uncle yesterday, and literally we was on the phone. Everybody was doing this new group chat thing. Everybody's on the camera. Lord, it's not the same. Let me tell you, it's not the same. But it feels like everybody's in a depressed state. So hopefully everybody can at least get some joy out of this. You know?
No, absolutely. No. All jokes aside, I mean, we're here to talk about gaming and we're gonna have fun and everything. But at the end of the day, it is all about family. It is about friends. It is about connecting. It is about doing things that kind of can take your mind off of it. I'm hoping that, you know, the extra content I'm putting out weekly is assisting people and giving them something to look forward to. And I think a lot of content creators on YouTube don't get enough credit for the amount of work that they do. And that means everybody on this panel, because, you know, just as much as we're entertaining you, I say this, and I have no problem admitting it, writing all of these shows and keeping myself busy has been my zen place, if you will, during these tough times. You know, obviously I want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, we're already sitting at near 100 people, which is great. So listen, let's continue, of course, with the introductions. And, you know, King David, I want to bring you in next, you know, because having you on today's show is big for me, because I love working with you. I got a chance to actually live with you for a week during E3 of last year, had full intentions to do it again this year. But of course, you know, things happened that cut our plans short. But at the same time, I love what you bring to the table, to the community. I love the energy that you bring on each show you're on, especially the Iron Lords podcast. And of course, really enjoy your statue debuts that are coming out on a record pace. Do me a favor, dude. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Boom. I do appreciate it. Yeah, we had our plans. We had a great time last year, and we were set to do something fantastic. Like, you know, Bad Bit met Bad Bit in Boston before, you know, everything went south. And we was having a good time. We definitely had a good time. So we was looking forward to some things. But, you know, just like, you know, Boom said and BitCloud said, the fact that we can lose ourselves in our content, to put out the content, I'm finding out new things. So if you're looking at my videos, you're going to see evolution, because during this period of time, I actually get a chance to focus more. So, and I'm trying to give you something to take you away. If it's 20 minutes out of a day, to remove you from whatever state you're in, because a lot of times we're getting bad news. A lot of times we're getting impossible news that we thought we will never hear. But at the same time, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So you must, you know, try to stay focused on the positive, and we're going to try to bring you that positive today.
Well, definitely appreciate you being here. And of course, love the work that you do. I see the Flash statue behind you. Obviously, if you didn't see the latest episode of King of Statues, get over to the Iron Lords podcast YouTube channel and check that out.
He's breaking tradition. We already saw that.
Well, listen, let's continue with the introductions. You know, this gentleman here is someone that is new and has been very active on Double Barrel Gaming. He runs an incredible PlayStation-centric channel. He is someone that brings a lot to the table on each show he is on as well. Mr. Badbit, welcome to today's show.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, guys? I didn't want to King to get all lonely with the only person being on webcam, so here's my tired face.
We appreciate that very much, sir.
Yeah. No, I'm doing holding up. I'm doing great. I'm I'm 4 hours of sleep in, one coffee. I'm hanging in. But you know what? I'm excited to talk something that we unfortunately were able or missed out on this week. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. And last but not least, the mouth of the South of Canada. Well, someone that brings the raunchiness, but at the same time brings the passion of a diehard gamer. Nukem, welcome, dude.
Yes, always an honor to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. First off, just let me say, yes, this whole virus thing has got us looking at our entire world differently. Not even our world, but the people around us, like our friends and family, because I don't think I've ever seen so many people without makeup and bad hairdos in my entire life. Let's get this show rolling by just saying there's going to be 2 explosive booms, 2 levels of bit. We also got King David, so the show is going to be the boom.
I love it. I couldn't have written that myself. This is why we knew that you were in radio prior to doing what you're doing, but for that unbelievable introduction. But let's get right into why everyone is here. We're here to talk about video games. And when I write these shows, I try to write them in advance, and then sometimes news breaks either last minute or the day before that become more prevalent than the original written show. So we're going to open up with some, I don't want to call it controversy. I want to call it a great platform for discussion and conversation. And we're going to talk about the new Bloomberg report that is suggesting that the Sony plans a very limited run of its PlayStation 5 output in the first year. And considering that they're likely to attempt to ship the PlayStation 5 worldwide at launch, concerns about actually getting one of these consoles on launch day is starting to grow worrisome for a lot of people in the community. Now, King, obviously, before I get to you, you're laughing because you, my friend, made a fortune during the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 era, and my brother Neo Mental, who at the time during the PlayStation 3 launch was the manager at FuncoLand, so he was able to get his hands on quite a few of them, and let's just say that he made a small fortune. Now, Sony plans to produce, according to the report, far fewer units of its upcoming PlayStation 5 in the first year than it had for previous generation consoles, again, according to people very familiar with the matter. Now, the Tokyo-based tech giant is limiting its internal productions run in part because it expects the PlayStation 5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand by leading to a high price at launch. The people said that again, close to the situation, who remain nameless, say that asking not to be identified because of, obviously it's a private subject matter, the global COVID-19 pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but it has not affected its production capacity, they added in the report. Now, the report continues by saying the company has told assembly partners it will make 5 to 6 million units of the PlayStation 5 in the fiscal year ending at March 2021. Now, according to other people involved in the machine supply chain, when Sony released the PlayStation 4 in November of 2013, it sold 7.5 million units in the first 2 quarters. Now, the PlayStation 5's loftier price tag also is determined why there's going to be a shortage. Game developers who have been creating titles for the next PlayStation anticipate its price in the region of, get this, folks, and sit down if you're the fainting type, $499 to $549 US. The Bloomberg intelligence analyst Matthew Canterman points to increased component costs, pushing the price required for Sony to even break even. Now, Sony has struggled with its price, and we've heard this for months on the original Bloomberg report that confirmed that each console was for upwards of $450 each to manufacturer. Apparently, those costs have risen. Now, as we heard earlier, the current price, like I just said, was $450. Now, this report is suggesting it's slightly higher. And in the report, they're saying that in order for Sony to just break even, it has to be priced at $500 to $549. Now, here is where we get into the weeds, so to speak, because Sony PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan wants a seamless transition to its next generation console. The question is, will they be able to do it with a less powerful console and a potentially equal price point with the Xbox Series X? Now, I have to go to King first on this because I want you to attack this from 2 points of views. One, you're a very successful businessman, and I want your point of view from there. But also, you have been the most vocal proponent on the Iron Lords podcast each and every Sunday when talking about, in your words, dancing Jim Ryan's way of handling this launch as opposed to the way the PlayStation 4 was launched with such dominance. Please give us your understanding of what potentially could this mean if they launch at the same price of the Series X and are less powerful.
Okay. So here's the rub, guys. It's a whole financial thing. Okay, when you go into a contract with your parts company, you already have the pricing up front. You pay for a certain amount of chipsets at a certain price. And when you start to ramp it up, then the price sets will fall. The more you purchase, the lower the product is, right? That's in any business, right? Microsoft has the same deal. Actually, they're buying the same products from the same supplier, but you're only hearing one company's having problems with their bill. So again, it boils down to finances. I've told you many a times when I see a company in trouble, they're doing things like rearranging management from top to bottom. They're consolidating companies like they were doing as far as European sector of Sony, making them smaller. And it was a lot of internal struggle. They got rid of certain hierarchies because they weren't going along with the plan. You were looking at free spending Sony. You know, Sony will walk inside a room, you know exactly who they were. All you hear now is there's a budget line. There's a price point that they want to meet. There's a certain level that they won't go past. That's why the SSD is smaller than what it is. It's fast, but it's smaller, right? That's why you understand it's a 9 teraflop machine. Don't go by that 10 teraflop stuff. It's a 9 teraflop machine that is unstable because it's been overclocked to try to get to where the X is, all right? Because they don't want the disparity when it comes out to numbers on a spreadsheet. All this stuff is done in accordance to make it seem like they're more loftier than they are. But here is the problem. They're going to tell you now this is where the demand is going to come in. They only have enough money to get to 5 million. Once we sell out the 5 million, then we're going to come back to the table, but we're going to be, cash infusion. We're going to give you the money as we're going to get more units out. Sony was more cash flush. in the PlayStation 4 in the beginning. Now, you would think after selling over 100 million units, there would still be more cash flush, but this is not the case. A unit is a one-time buy. What you need is residual income with online services and stuff of that nature. So you want people to buy Magic. Magic is something that they can't hold, they can't grasp. Okay, so if everybody is buying Game Pass and everybody is buying services on Microsoft's and Microsoft is financially doing exactly what Sony's doing, probably at a little bit, less of a level, because Sony is selling millions of units when it comes to the games, right? And Microsoft, I don't think they have the most successful games going head to head with Sony as far as financial wise, but Sea of Thieves is being played by millions of players daily, right? And they're playing most of that through Game Pass, or they're purchasing content. If you keep purchasing content, that is more money in the bucket, right? Half units, more money in the bucket. What you want is Sony to be able to manage this going forward. So these units are going to be sold at $550. I know y'all guys thought, oh man, that's not going to happen. It's going to come in at $399. No. First of all, the situation we're in economically does not help Sony at all.
Right.
So they can't overextend their hand and have stuff on the shelf with a weaker unit. So of course you scale back. You say, yo, listen, what we need to do is we can put out 5 million, see how that goes right now. We market it aggressively. They're not doing 100 shows that they said they was going to do to promotional things. They're doing less of that. They're going to get the unit out. Right now, Sony seems like they're being forced in a way because Microsoft is so aggressive. Then they don't seem like they're ready for what's happening going forward. And financially, you will see that burden bear fruit, okay? Because Microsoft didn't say anything about they having any shortages going forward. Actually, they're telling you, yeah, we'll be ready when it comes, when the time comes. We're launching in the fall. Jim Dance Moves Ryan definitely told you they're going to launch in the fall, but they're going to launch right now. Now you got the information that's coming out, not from Sony themselves, but a leak comes out, right, from somebody that doesn't want to be named, just giving you a heads up. Get your money right. Or if you're able to get it ahead of time, because you won't probably be able to get one in June or something. These things are red flags. It will not be a seamless transition, boom. This is going to turn into, if Microsoft does what I think they're going to do and put them in a pincer move where they can meet Sony at the exact same price with a more powerful system, then undercut them with the S at a lower price, they can make money off the S. If the S is a weaker unit, they can lose money off the X. Series X, and make money off of the Series S. So that way it'll balance out. But they have units in the store where Sony is not on doesn't have anything in the store shelves. So what happens to the kid during Christmas time? What happens?
They move over to Xbox.
Yes. So
that's right.
That's my take on it. And I say it's troublesome when financially you don't have the cachet that you used to have. They're moving different.
I'm going to say this. What is happening in front of us is unprecedented because, look, right now, the champ is Sony, right? They sold 112 million. It could be more, right? I'm just going to throw a number out. It's 112 million. The number behind what they have out in the wild is as impressive as any console before it, right? They have done things this generation that no console has done. The dominance, not just in the console sales, but the quality in their first-party games has been immense. Their marketing has been nothing short of like watching a prize fight. Like the aggressive behavior that they have shown over the course of these 7 years, or I want to say 6 because I'm not counting this year because they're in complete disarray. But the 6 years prior to 2020 have been nothing short of amazing to watch. You know, putting God of War on the basketball court, ridiculous. Having PlayStation literally show up on every YouTube video that you watch, ridiculous. TV ads, movies, you name it, billboards, bumper stickers. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even counting the free advertising they're getting from their fan base, which is extremely vocal and loud. But like we've seen giants fall before, everything is lining up for Sony to stumble. And they have been stumbling since being kicked in the balls on December 12th, 2019. When Phil Spencer came out on stage, not only showed the X, not only showed the controller, but gave you what the name of the console was, and then followed that by an in-game engine title. And since then, Sony has been in complete disarray. And we've been hearing for quite some time now, this is not the first time we've heard a $500 PlayStation 5. This is not the first time we've heard the potential of shortages. Now, I know there's some people in the chat saying, well, just a second, Boom. There's shortages every console launch. Not like this, there's not. Okay, because Sony is now, whether you take this as a weakness at this point or something that you put in the crown that you're wearing, their worldwide reach is ridiculous. And if you're going to tell me that they're only going to put 5 to 6 million consoles worldwide by March 2021, how is this allocation going to go? Which country is going to get 1.5 million of this? How many do you think at launch for November are they going to have available? Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it 3? I don't know, but I can tell you this right now. If you don't have an inside connection, or you're not literally waiting by the phone for it to ring to say, hi, this is Sony, reserve your shit now, I think you're either going to be asked out or you're going to be paying $1,000. And I think that when these consoles are not, like exactly what King was saying, when these consoles are not on the shelves and it comes Christmas time, people are impatient. Gamers, as we all know, have patience of a Snapdragon crocodile. We don't wait for shit. So I can assure you that because there's no PlayStations on the shelves, a good portion of these impatient gamers are going to be moving over to the Xbox brand, and in the form of a $300 console. So BitCloud, I want to get your opinion on this, because I know even, you talk about PlayStation and that's your brand. And you know what? I respect the shit out of you for the way that you handle it. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on regarding this report.
So in the report, they said that competition between Microsoft and Sony, I don't know if King saw it in the report to Bloomberg, that potentially this would put pressure on Sony to take a loss on this, or both of them to take a loss on this. Because one thing a lot of people are not talking about neither is how much the Series X is going to be as well in this case. Now, granted, costly parts. This was something we talked about before we even got here, right, King? It was like 3 or 4 months before we even got to this point that costly parts could be something that was going to be an obstacle. So how much is Series X in this current state at this time too?
Yeah, just to add for that as well, Daniel Ahmed in the original piece a few months ago did state that the Series X was going to be significantly more expensive.
Yeah,
in terms of just
the cost price was between $485 and $520,
and we have to then assume if competition is that fierce, that those prices, if Sony's has gone up, so has Microsoft's.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Manufacturers cannot raise costs because of demand. Okay? When you go into a binding contract, you are bound by that contract to uphold that contract. There are penalties, very stiff penalties, if you do not adhere to that contract. That is the only thing that I'm stating to this point.
I like what you're saying. I'm saying, like, I'm looking at it from like, me, I look at things from the glass half full. I don't look at I look at the whole thing here, or every scenario.
Exactly.
And again, so We don't know how much the Series X is going to be. And tell you the truth, that Series S, let's just be real, let's just going to call it Series S. We're not going to call it Lockhart. It's going to be called Series S. So Series S is going to be really their shot at this point of what it's going to be. And the question is, how much is Series S going to be? You know, what are you aiming Series S for?
That's going to be a $300 box.
You think $300?
Yeah, I do. I think it's $300 because what this does is listen, the $500 box is not for someone who buys 3 games a year. Okay, that $500 box is for everyone in this chat. The 252 people are the ones that this is aimed at. The people on this panel, that's who is going to race out and try and get their hands on not just one box, but both of them. Right?
See, I still
discless too. They said it was going to be discless. The Lockhart or Series.
It's not discless.
It's not discless. Okay.
I'm still in the camp of because like I hear some people go, I have sources that say it's a thing, and then I have other people going, I have sources that say it's not a thing. To me, I honestly at this point need to see the S to believe it. Not to say that I'm in doubt. It's just
that's what's happening in May. That's the rumor. The May event is a hardware event where it's going to show what this hardware looks like, and then they're going to show a couple of games running on the maximum hardware. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's what we need to pay attention to. That's going to be in about like probably 2 weeks. So,
and when I see those specs and when I see it, then I'll be like, okay, so what's the game plan here? Because when I hear 2 consoles, when I hear a Series S and when I hear a Series X, that just in my brain turns to the fact that all right, Series X is a $600 console. Like that's what my brain.
Look, I mean, listen, everyone's opinion is important, and obviously will be held to the highest standard on this show. But I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that's true is because of the way Phil Spencer handled that interview when he said we are going to stay agile on pricing, meaning and he followed that with we have the full support and backing of Microsoft. So by him saying that, it's saying that they're willing to take a loss because they're going to back end the loss in services and the potential of a lesser powerful $300 box.
I think when it comes to that as well, when he's like, we have the full backing. First off, cool. If they compete with each other and they get the price as low as they can, that's fantastic. I also think when he's like, we have the full backing of Xbox, and then we also talk about how they have, how Phil Spencer talks about turning consoles more into like the phone market where you're paying a finance type situation. That's where I think as a large company that Microsoft is, they are going to make a deal similar to that. Like Apple has, if I think is a Capital One.
They're doing that now.
Yeah. So it's to get you introduced to the idea of, hey, you're going to have to start financing these consoles, making it so that, you can have a $600 console, $500 console, and then sell them on the fact that it's only $35 a month. Theoretically.
No, that's great. And it does include all the services. Real quick, before we continue, I don't want to lose these super chats. Let me just catch up with them. First of all, our very good friend Smitty Smith drops a $2 super chat and says, good morning, everyone. Hashtag stay collecting. And I say hashtag Book of X. Sin Vendetta, a very good friend of the channel, also a very generous friend of the channel. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says, good morning, Boomin' panel. YouTube just gave me the notification now. Well, at least they gave you the notification, dude. I mean, I'm happy that anyone is even here, to be honest with you, with the way things have gone the last couple of weeks. And there are a few more. Failed Pyromancer drops an outstanding, very generous $5 super chat, says this, just dropping some appreciation to you guys. Thanks for trying to keep people entertained. Game on. Happy Friday. Well, thank you for the words and, of course, your generosity. Masshole 1977, who was first today and actually is first most days, drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat and says, finding the PS5 is going to be like finding the Wonka golden ticket. Oh, God, I hope not, dude. I would be very upset if I have to buy 5,000 pieces of chocolate to get my PS5. I'm going to be very, very upset. You know what? So, BitCloud, please continue on with your point, because I thought what you had to say was extremely relevant.
Yeah. So again, competition between both of them. Now they talked about it they mentioned this in an article that potentially both of them would be willing to take a loss to get it down lower. So if
Yes.
Sony is going to be having a $550 console. At least this is rumored to the developers. They believe that it could be $550. I can see them taking a loss and getting that down to $4. And Microsoft getting at least a $5. I don't think any company would be silly enough to have a $600 console. It's not the case, but you got to look at it for what it is. These costly parts and whatnot too.
You know what? I agree with you. I think what you're saying. First of all, there's not going to be a $600 con. That's just not happening in 2020.
Yeah, they did that already.
We can't do that now. Even if Microsoft did this whole, I think it's called Xbox All Access, right? That's
yes.
Yeah, they're doing it already.
Yeah. If you go with the Xbox All Access thing, there's a big drawback to the Xbox All Access thing, and that's the fact that it can hurt your credit if you are late to, you know what I'm saying? That's the only drawback.
I mean, but I think that's with anything though. I mean, if you get a credit card with a $500 limit, you blow your limit on, and you don't pay your thing, you're gonna hurt your credit no matter what.
That's very, very true. But again, and this economy,
no, it's true. It's
this economy.
I mean, I think that more people are probably going to take advantage of this program because of this particular economy. King, you wanted to say something?
Hold on. Okay. I have 3 statue rooms. This is just my fun room. Big Cloud and I believe Bad Bitch saw my other statue rooms, and I'm working on another room.
Well, I know there's a mutant room, so and I'm coming to the kingdom sooner than later. So
facts.
So I gotta meet him up first because he got a room for each particular style. He's got like
it's out of control. This is absolutely nothing.
Can we admit you have a problem, sir?
So listen. As far as the credit thing goes, it's okay. More options is never bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they can give you an option on getting a $500 system, that's great news. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Some people don't have the credit to do it. I think credit cards and credit information is going to be a little bit lax than this time. Actually, I believe that they're going to be giving you more credit to get you deeper into debt to make you continue to work it off. All right, so understand the machine, how the machine works. Anyway, I don't believe Sony is in a position to lower costs, to eat costs. I don't believe that the heads are telling them that you have carte blanche to take a loss. I don't think a loss is even on the table for them. Now, where Microsoft, they have other business revenue and other things that are highly successful over Microsoft, Xbox. Xbox is a cog in Microsoft. And before Phil was even able to get to the big boy table, it was an afterthought. Okay. So now that he made them relevant into the eyes of Satya and these guys are seeing his value and said, okay, what do you need to operate? Because you're making this happen with this. How can you be far more successful? How can you bring in more revenue? Well, if we're aggressive at this point right here, where we lost the battle here. We lost it initially in the mindset. Right now, they are winning mindset, right? Mind share is in their favor. They have, and it seems that Sony is off their game. They probably can't. They probably are on the ball. They probably have their own timeline. But it seems like Microsoft is being the most transparent that they can be. So when you're this transparent, and then you have the backing of the capital, that can tell you, okay, whatever they match at, you can match it at, but you have to have a strategy. Being the master strategist, Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer is, sir. This is where he comes in.
Command and conquer.
With the S. So the S system is this. Let's say you can get the S. Let's say the manufacturing cost for the S is $300. I don't believe that system is going to be $300. I believe it's going to be $350. All right. And let's say the manufacturing cost is like $288, something like that. So every box you make $20. Now, in order to take that loss and to gain it back, we have to inflate the price. $350. Or for every box you're making $70 now. So now that's going to be the seller. because more people are going to buy that seller. They don't care about power. Most people don't even have 4K televisions. So if this 1440p system is moving in
fanboy war statement, 12 teraflops.
Listen, I'm just saying this, right? I'm just saying they don't care.
Yeah,
you do not really care. All you want to know if it runs. I play with guys daily that's playing on S's and regular Xboxes, and my crazy behind is the only one with an X.
Yeah.
So, and they're loading in just like me. They're playing and seeing everything just like me. They're killing just like me. So the only thing different is I have a costlier display than what's going on with them. So that's not a factor. The factor is the regular people. The way you push that system is in these economic times right now, we have something just for you.
Yep.
And it's going to sell like hotcakes, and if it's available. So I really think that they're going to push more of the S than they're going to be pushing the X. They gave you the X to show you that we control power. They're going to show you that we control price with the S. But this is not about them. This is about Sony's. And you have to understand, Sony is not in a position to take a loss. They was already cutting back and boosting the system. So I don't think a loss is in financially. I don't see it.
It's not $100 per console.
They made more revenue in 2019 than the whole Xbox division.
No, I understand. Listen, I totally respect that and I understand that. But what we're talking about is a past fight going into a future war.
You're saying like not a marathon type of sprint,
right?
Sprint type I can see, again. Yeah, I get what you're coming from. Yeah, it's a good point that they could do it, but at the same time, I'm just going back to this article too. They were talking about PS4 and PS4 Pro taking another cut on those as well, pushing those systems, and obviously to try to get to probably. I'm guessing they're going to try to get to like 100 or close to 150 million units with PS4.
You know what? You know what's concerning? Because I want to bring up exactly what you were talking about in that particular part of the article. Yeah. Because they're going to be so short with the PlayStation 5, there's a plan already in place to push sales of the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation Slim, which is, I'm going to be honest with you, slightly concerning, because that tells me that they're just not ready for next generation. I mean, I'm not saying that this is from an outsider looking in. If the plan is already in place that they are expecting not to be able to ship the PlayStation 5 worldwide the way they did the PlayStation 4. So in turn, they're going to ship what they can ship. People are going to get what they can get. Oh, and by the way, they're going to push the PlayStation 4 Pro and the PlayStation 4 Slim, which I think at this point, if you already, I mean, again, this is my opinion. I think if you wanted a PlayStation, you probably have it already. So I don't know if that's going to work.
Can be used for PS2, because remember PS2 was still trending. It was still like a thing before they stopped producing that back in 2012, right? People.
No, it's true. I mean, it's true.
A lot of people
coded that thing for like 11 years. So like,
it's like that same market can be used for really any.
I was about to say Microsoft just lowered the cost of the X in the regular system. So this is at the time when they're doing that.
Yeah, periodically, even at Inside Xbox, they give you these insane deals with Game Pass, and the system barely went up like 5%. King, it was I really bought it. I mean,
we forget that like most people aren't buying the console at launch. Most people are waiting for the price cut. Most people are buying it, year 3, 4, 5. And then,
no, it's true. Absolutely.
Slow adopters, like there were people like that for PS3. They waited till like the end to buy a PS3. And again, it's fine. That it's all about supporting them and make sure they got games. But at the same time, Microsoft and Sony are guilty of this. The last game Sony dropped on PlayStation 3, what was it? Assassin's Creed Rogue? That was it.
Yeah, no, it's listen real quick. I want to bring in the rest of the panel, but I have to catch up on these super chats before I lose them. Smitty Smith once again shows his outstanding generosity, and he says this. He drops a $5 super chat and says this: "You gotta say it from your chest, Boom. The Book of X." I hope that's better. Evil Primate drops a super chat for $6.66. Thank you so much for doing that, sir. He says, "Good morning, Boom. panel and chat. Please give my donation to King David so he can build a bigger room for his statues before they swallow him whole. I think that's what King was talking about
that's what I was
earlier.
talking about, yeah.
Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, our good friend Enrique drops a $2 super chat and says, "Happy Friday, everyone." Our very good friend, Gotham Guy, who I had a pleasure of meeting at last E3. I just lost it. I hate when that. Okay, he dropped a $5 super chat and says, "The Series S at $299 is a stellar price. We already see that the Xbox One X flying off the shelves at $299, and that was before the pandemic started. Oh, we have a new channel member, Crazy Made Gaming. Thank you so much, dude. He becomes a channel member for Double Barrel Gaming. I appreciate that. And Gaming Forte, my brother from another mother, drops a $2 super chat and says, "Great show, Boom. I'll let my friends know day one." Yes, I have him on speed dial. And Sir X-Man, who is a very good friend of mine and a very good friend of the channel, drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, "Remember, Microsoft gave Windows 10 away. They're not afraid to lose money to make money in the future. Microsoft does it all the time." And J1405NL drops a very outrageous $5 super chat and actually doesn't leave a comment. So listen, Noof Nukem, I want to bring you.
It's his last part about David's question. It's just the last part. It was about meeting not the man. He said the transition to be seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do believe that's still a thing, David. Because remember, they're the market leader. They got over 100 million units. They got more pressure on them. More people know about the system. They want that next one.
Right.
That transition easily can be seamless for them, especially if they got the right price.
But you know what? I agree. I think that their reach, like I said earlier, their worldwide reach is ridiculous. There's no denying the reach that they have, but at the same time, remember, this is $100 more and 85 million, possibly more, of the PlayStation 4 fan base, of that 120.
Yeah.
What happened?
They like go mute.
I'm still here.
Okay.
So to rebut BitCloud, I don't think he means when he says that transition part. I think y'all are miscuing that to believe that it means he wants everybody to have a PlayStation 5. And I do believe that everybody wants to make sure that everybody has a PlayStation 5.
They'll make it simple with the download.
Right. See, I think Mark Cerny, this is Mark Cerny's philosophy. And if you're watching how the PlayStation is moving in this manner right now, Magic Mike Cerny, his philosophy is the fact that he wants everything to work in this ecosystem. If you look at Knack and how he did Knack 1 and Knack 2, you couldn't tell the two games apart. What happened was it was an evolution from Knack 1 and Knack 2. This PlayStation is an evolution of his philosophy and his ideas. He has permeated Sony to the extent that his philosophy will definitely ring true. You see it from the design, you see it from the inside to the outside. You also saw it when he was having that the GDC talk. Yes, he told you how certain things will work. So they're listening to Mark because Mark made the PlayStation 4 super successful. Now, do I believe when you get your PlayStation 5 that all your information and everything will integrate totally seamlessly? That's the integration. That's the seamless transition that I believe that he's talking about.
Yeah, that's the question we need more answers to. Like, for example, your library. All games work immediately,
Yes,
as well. Plus your even though I'm pretty sure they didn't have this issue with PS3 before. Remember, like your profile and all that stuff was it was glitched out when we first got PS4 a little bit.
Yes,
on the trophy, so they didn't want to pop up. You got that error message. I'm wondering if they got that ringed out. But one thing is for certain, PS3 is probably gonna lose everything else at this point as soon as this thing launches, because they've already phased out the messaging part.
It's not the same system. It's not the same anything. It's not Mark's box. This is why I believe. See, Microsoft was building that situation from long ago when they had the back and pat stuff and they had the all information going forward, and they were saying no gamer left behind. And they made it in a way that the systems was able to run and recognize it all the way through. So when you're playing a 360 game on your Xbox, you just your Xbox One or whatever, you felt it just felt natural and normal. They want that same synergy. And I believe that same synergy is absolutely essential for the PlayStation 5 to actually capture all or most of the crowd that they have now. Because going forward, they need that crowd going forward. But Noof Dukem, tell me exactly how you felt about the price point and everything that you saw going on with Sony at this point in time, and your opinion on the lowering the price cost and the manufacturing problems that they seem to be having from this anonymous source at this moment right now.
You there, Nuke?
Nope.
We lost Noof too.
We lost Noof. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Bad
Did you guys finally send it back to me or what?
Yeah.
Sorry. Me and Dave, we chill like the whole time. We just
sorry, brother.
Yeah, baby. In the words of my my favorite WWE superstar of all time, finally, Noof is in the building. Look, man, I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but look, as far as I'm concerned, there's a large disparity between the way Microsoft and Sony are going to do business this gen. Sony is the market leader. When it comes to the price point, look, I think we can all agree that the basement's going to be set at about $499. But where the ceiling is, that we don't know. I don't think either one of them can afford to go anywhere below $499. And even at $499, I think they're going to be losing some chunks of money. They're certainly not going to make very much on each console. The struggles for Sony, because Sony is largely more popular in more places of the world, is to meet that demand. So this is where I think we're going with the whole article, is that I think both companies are going to struggle to get as many off the line as they can. But, in the past generations, a lot of the times the releases were staggered. They'd start in one territory and they'd filter down through. Over the last little while, we've seen this, this unanimous launch, kind of a worldwide, or in most territories, you try to hit as many people as possible, right? And, that's going to be very hard to do in this economy right now, especially with the way things are going. I know for a fact production lines are slowed down. Hell, I work in the sports retail business, and a company like Bowers is struggling to make hockey sticks. That's hockey sticks, okay? So we're not talking about, high-end components and things that go into these consoles, right? So they're definitely going to struggle to meet demands. I'd say right now the scalpers out there are salivating at the bit. They're already waiting to order their 1, 2, or 3 consoles if they can get them. So I hope the retailers are going to be smart and try to weed this crap out, because I'd hate to see legitimate game fans get screwed over by the guys who are trying to make a big profit on this. And we see this every freaking time. Regardless of the price, I don't know if I'm going to buy either console right out of the bat. It just depends on my finances and where I'm at come, November, that sort of thing. The marketing departments are definitely going to have to make their money over the next couple of months, because it's largely on their shoulders with the lack of all these shows now. No E3, no Gamescom, no this, that, something else. I mean, the only people kind of hyping this right now is generally the YouTubers, the game fans, right? We are the people that have got to get behind and push these products. Adoption is going to be slow. It's going to be slow regardless, because a lot of people are still just getting into this generation. I mean, how many people bought PS4s over the last 2 or 3 years? Like an absolute ton load. So a lot of people aren't ready to trade in or upsell or whatever you want to call it. So they both have their work cut out for them. Now, if it comes to a company taking more of a loss, I'm going to put my money on Microsoft. And you know why? Because look at what they're doing right now. They're selling the Xbox One X people at $299. If you're telling me they're not losing money at that price, then you're crazy. Because I don't even know if you can buy a graphics card with the processing power that the Xbox One X has right now at $299. I maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not a huge PC expert, but I'd still say that's getting a console at $299 right now. So they're obviously taking those losses, because Microsoft knows there's 2 things that they know right now. They know that they've struggled. They're behind in the gaming part of it, which is why they've invested in studios, right? I mean, any dumbass should be able to see that. Right, that's why they've invested this much money in studios, because one, they have to keep a consistent content of stuff coming up for Game Pass, because if not, Game Pass will quickly lose its luster. So yes, you can expect to see not just the AAA stuff, which has been rare, I know, but you're going to see a lot of that, quote unquote filler because they have to keep new content coming. Netflix has been doing it now for the last couple of years, producing show after show after show, because if they don't keep fresh content going, and with all the competition they're losing over to Disney Channel and Amazon and different places, right? So they have to create their own to keep people invested in their stuff, right? Same thing as HBO is producing shows, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this shapes up. I definitely think we're going to see a shortage. I don't know, and I think it'll happen for both, whether they want to admit it or not. I don't think any of them are going to meet their prospective targets. You know what I mean? I don't know. Others think $2.99, even with the cost going down, brother. That seems quite low. That's nearly 50% off. I'm not an expert in this stuff either. I don't do the math. I don't see their charts of how much they pay for the processors and all the stuff that goes inside of a console. But I mean, my God, even 4K Blu-ray drives, man. If you went out and bought a standard 4K Blu-ray drive right now, how much is that, guys? What, at least
like $99?
At least, okay. So at least just for a Blu-ray drive. So just kind of do the math. I just can't see how, I think what Microsoft's doing here is they want to get as many of the Xbox One X into people's hands. They want to get that inventory out so they can go full steam in when they launch the Series X. And especially if they're doing a 2 SKU system, they want to have less confusion on the shelves. They want to go in, have the head start running. So Sony nor Microsoft are not going to lose no money on like these systems. They're going to sell them. They're going to try to sell them as low as they can, but they're not going to go crazy either. Like, you know what I mean? So $4.99, like I said, I think we can say that would probably be the basement. Where the ceiling is, I don't know. I don't think any of them can afford to go past $5.99. And again, it's the hardcore that are going to come out and buy this out of the gate. The casual not buying this console, either one, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe the odd one, but I'm pretty sure a 13-year-old is not walking up to mommy and daddy and getting them to drop $700. Especially with the economy right now, with people out of work and most people not having fucking much money for the God knows how long before people sort of get financially back in sorts.
Oh, it's going to be quite some time, Nuke, before people become financially secure enough to pay rent and everything else let alone actually go out and buy a console. Listen, I want to thank you guys for keeping this going. For some reason or another, I had a power outage, and the power came right. It was like a surge of sorts.
That was Sony.
Yeah. Oh well, maybe.
They thought if they killed the head, the body would die. But
no. Listen, this is why I pay for these servers monthly. So if that ever happens, the professionals that I have on the show could continue. Yes. And you guys did just that. Mr. Bedbit, I saw you talking, and I'm not sure if you got a chance to really rein this topic in. Why don't you give us your theory and thoughts on the Bloomberg report that was released yesterday? Do you have concerns, not really so much for the pricing of the PS5, but more the availability? Do you think that people like us, who are truly and die heartily, if you will, looking forward to this, may actually miss a launch because of the shortage?
So first off, all panel members, man, y'all are killing it, because you're saying what I'm feeling, especially Noof. You're hitting it out of the ballpark here. It's awesome to have these type of conversations, and we're not getting into our little bases and shooting missiles at each other type of shit. So first off, I have a bone to pick with Sony. I have a bone to pick with Sony. For the past 3 weeks, I put out this PlayStation show called The Trophy Room.
It's a great show, by the way. Great show.
I would say it's the best PlayStation show. And every single time I put out a show, what does Sony do the day of? Oh, we just drop some news. So something Sony related happens and it kills my SEO rating. And so Sony, get it together. Give us news on a Wednesday, damn it. But to get serious, I think everybody's kind of hitting it out of the park when we're talking about production, when we're talking about the economy, and when we're talking about communication. And there's one thing that I've been banging on since the whole PAX situation, which is this is real, and it has caught Sony off guard in a big way. The situation at hand has caught Sony off guard more than I think Microsoft has. I think that's easy to say at this point. So when I heard, within the second paragraph that, hey, what's more affected is their communication, less so than their production, not only did I have a sense of vindication, but it also gave me the sense of, so this is why they're quiet, because right now, literally, just imagining Sony HQ, it's kind of like it's that community gif, right? Where he enters no, he's entering the apartment and everything's on fire. That's what's happening.
It's okay
right now.
here. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Their communications, their PR, their marketing team had this plan when they said that they weren't going to E3, that, hey, we're going to go to a lot more trade shows because we want people to experience this console, right? And we didn't understand that until now we see the controller, and now we hear about Tempest Sound. And I think Sony's plan was, hey, we have these things that are really hard to sell you over a webcam or over your monitor, right? We want you to put a headphone on and experience Tempest Cloud or sound, and then get you on board. And that was where they're
believing, right?
Exactly, seeing to believe, because we could hear, oh, Tempest Sound, and part of me is very skeptical because I'm like, yeah, but like Adobe's fine. Why do you have to do, So like, if I'm able to get into a room, get my hands on a PS5 controller, get a headset on, then experience Tempest Sound and whatever it could be, maybe I get sold more walking in. So I think their PR was totally off guard with Microsoft right now, running them on the ropes, because their PR and their marketing is way more digital. It's way more social media.
Yeah, Greeny
they're killing it there, and they're much more giftable. And right now, Sony hasn't begun talking because Sony is right now rewriting how they're going to approach their console. And hearing what I heard, it really sold me on the fact that this console, we're not going to hear anything. We're lucky if it's May. We're lucky if it's early June. I'm thinking this is a late June reveal. I think this is a state of play reveal. And then when we talk about the production side of things, it is a much more reserved Sony. I think I'm using Ryan McCaffrey's terms here, where it is a much more reserved Sony. Sony is, they rely on PlayStation for almost a third of their income. So they can't, King's right. They can't afford to take huge losses on this console because this console is their bread and butter. Whereas Microsoft has, their tentacles in all sorts of businesses. Remember, they're all conglomerates at this point. They own multiple businesses. They have multiple venues. And Microsoft has the ability to be way more flexible on a lot of things because they have a lot more services that they provide outside of Microsoft. So when I hear, Phil Spencer going, we're going to be a lot more flexible, we're going to be more agile, I think he's giving you more ways to buy the console. And then when he's talking about being more, flexible and agile, he's also talking about money wise when it comes to buying the components. Because right now, the contracts are askew when it's not just Sony and Microsoft buying these components, but they're also going head to head with Apple, with Samsung, with other mobile leaders. And I say Apple and Samsung in particular because right now, Apple's ramping up their supply of their next iPhone. Samsung's wrapping up their next Samsung device. Google as well with the Pixel. That's the one company I forgot. So they're going up against where the supply and demand, the demand is high and the supply is super limited. So the suppliers get to literally make a price, and whether it's skyrocketed, whether it's up 300%, who's going to be able to take those bigger losses? The bigger companies. So Microsoft has already told us, and this is why I believe, like, really at the end of the day, the range is now, you're right, Noof, the bottom is $499. The ceiling, I don't know where it is, but I would like to say $599. Like, that's where the ceiling is, the range of these consoles. Just because of the way Microsoft's talking, it's like, hey, listen, this thing is not the must-buy thing for 2 years, right? So we still have this ecosystem that we have. Enjoy it. Everything's going to interlap with each other. And if you upgrade to your Series X in time, all those games that you're playing on your X, don't worry, they'll carry over. And so I think Microsoft is preparing people for a bigger price tag in a way better way than Sony has. The only thing that I say, and I'll close it with this, is Sony has now only one opportunity to quell everybody's expectations and fears. If Sony comes out in June, has their event, and go, okay, we're $4.99. We have smart delivery, right? Like Cyberpunk, when it's upgraded in April, we'll work on the PS5 like it's a PS5 game, right? All your PlayStation 4 games will work on your PlayStation 5. This is an extension to our ecosystem. Hey, guess what? We have PlayStation Now, and I don't know, we'll try to make it decent this time.
I think as well, Mr. Babbitt, and I'll jump real just quickly.
Go for it.
I'll say that I think Sony is also careful that they don't want to euthanize the sales of PS4s because unlike previous generations, we saw a massive drop in sales of the consoles. 360, PS3 had a massive tailing off towards the end. These two generations are a little bit different. They're going a lot stronger. We're seeing that right now. The console sales, like maybe it's partly due down to the virus, but we're seeing console sales are spiking through the roof. PS4s are not having trouble selling, even up here in Canada, $380. Things are still flying out of the stores. You know what I mean? So and with The Last of Us 2 coming out and Ghost of Tsushima, they're also careful too because they just don't want to just kill off that business right away. So I think they're just being a little more cautious about how they go into it.
And I think you're totally right there. They do still have these larger games that are also on fire because of what's going on right now. So we can now start to assume that The Last of Us is somewhere later than we would have liked, and Ghost of Tsushima will be definitely later than we would have liked. And yeah, you don't want to cannibalize the market that you have right now, which is selling extremely well. You don't want to cannibalize the ecosystem as well by going and separate it by going, hey, listen, the PlayStation 5's ecosystem is a little bit different than the PlayStation 4 ecosystem. So yeah, you're right. They have a way more delicate dance to pull off.
Let me say one thing, and I believe everything that you're saying, right? But I believe that they put themselves in this position.
Oh, they absolutely did. Yeah.
Yes, Microsoft these coming months right now is really AA games, single A games that they're going to be releasing, right? Whereas Sony has positioned themselves to have either their greatest game to release right now, and I like Ghost of Tsushima, to be honest with you. I want to see how it plays in my hand, opposed to Never Die. That game died. No, I mean it looked beautiful, but it was like a train wreck for my nerves. Brought that game for no reason. But okay. And I think they put themselves in a serious position, whereas they can't go touting the PlayStation 5 and downplaying the PlayStation 4 because they still want these games to sell. And if a person goes and they're just waiting for The Last of Us 2, they waited the whole generation for The Last of Us 2 to buy a PlayStation 4, and they go out and they buy that game. Now, we don't live in a vacuum. So if one person feels that way, we pretty much sure there are thousands of people that feel the same exact way. All right. We're unified that way as human beings. So thousands of purchases for The Last of Us 2 with a new system going home. You don't want to tell those people, well, that new system that you just brought in 6 months or to 4 months is dead. All right, because we're gonna have a superior unit coming out, and I believe the philosophy, because they're using the old dinosaur philosophy as saving your best for last, where the tail end and you ease them into the next generation. When Microsoft told you that going forth, these games will grow, and we like 2 years out, you will have these bangers coming in. That makes people say, well, you know what? I don't really need an X right now. Oh, it's $250. Okay, I might buy it, and then I can just trade it up and trade it in and get me a Series X type of thing, opposed to holding out for that one great game, and you don't want to cannibalize your market.
Yeah, it's a very
you guys.
Yeah, it's a very delicate dance. It is. That's why Jim's the best at it, man.
Trying.
It is. It's a very like how do you? And it's something the PR and marketing teams are going to have to pull off of. How do we sell these consoles? Because Luke's right, these consoles are still selling. They don't need the price cut because they're still flying off the shelves. How do we, when the time comes to price cut these things, not undermine either console? That's something that is
that's a really fantastic and thought-provoking point, because you're talking about walking the razor's edge. right? Like you don't want to, because again, this is actually a point that I think that BitCloud was attempting to make, and I think it might have went over my head. And now that you've said it that way, it makes sense. If Sony is going to, let's say, take a $50 loss, the console's $550, but they release it at $499. You say to yourself, well, they have something like Game Pass, but it's not as popular, right? It's not as well received because of the no first parties in there, right? How do they make this money back? Well, they make it back by continuing to sell the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 4 Slim, and maybe they move more consoles when they offer, potentially, again, I'm only trying to think outside the box here, that come the holiday, they offer one of these games in there, like they did with Spider-Man. Like, remember, when Spider-Man came, when it was offered in that for that $200 console, they couldn't keep those consoles in. So I would like to imagine that they made some sort of profit on that, on the sheer amount that they moved.
Yeah. Biggest difference between the two as well is that Microsoft is damn set on selling Game Pass. At Game Pass, they've made it perfectly clear they are about the Game Pass life, and those guys at Microsoft would sell you a game on your grandmother's sewing machine if they could. Sony, Sony hasn't made it clear where they want their biggest and brightest stars to shine yet. Yeah, they're kind of pushing things off to PlayStation now a little bit, but they're not doing the day and date. They're not being as aggressive with it as Microsoft, and that in turn is why the way these two companies are going to sell their consoles could be vastly different, right?
Yeah.
The ecosystem is different for both. It's kind of the same, but because Microsoft is really intent on the services side of things, the Xbox Live subscription and Game Pass, that totally changes their outlook on the consoles. Like, to them, do they care if it's 1 million Xbox Series X that sell, or do they care that it's 1 million Xbox One S? I really don't think they care, as long as they're selling Xboxes of some sort.
Yeah, I think you're 110% right on that. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this. This has been an outstanding, well received by the chat topic. I mean, we've had an hour and 7 minutes on this particular topic, and you know what? I'm not ashamed to say that it was fantastic from start to finish, because what I really appreciate, and I think BitCloud, Mr. Bedbit actually really drove this home, is that we weren't launching missiles at each other, that we were all sitting here as adults, and each one of us have our own preference, but we were also talking about this in a mature fashion, which is something I really truly enjoy. And having quote unquote PlayStation centric gamers on this particular program each and every week is exciting for me, because first of all, a lot of people in the community, especially the PlayStation community, have been calling for this. So to have Mr. Bed, but to have BitCloud is an honor for me personally, and of course to have Noof Nukem and King David come in from another angle, and we're all talking about this like professionals. It's really, I mean, give yourself a round of applause for everybody. Yeah. But before we move on to the next topic, we do have someone that just called in, and believe it or not, it's Mark Cerny. Mark, I have to get your opinion on this. You've heard what we've been talking about, the pricing, the Bloomberg report. Do you have anything that you can give the PlayStation fans?
Well, Mr. Boomstick, I just wanted to say that, look, guaranteed, this console's going to be at least $499. You can mark my words on that.
Is this Joe Exotic? This is not Mark.
He sounds like Joe Exotic.
It's going to be $499. We don't want to sell it any less than that. If you're into cheap entertainment, you just go down to your local IHOP and you buy some pancakes. Okay?
If he says that right there, you might as well just put it in the water, let it sink.
I know Mr. Cerny is very busy, and I want to thank him for taking a couple of minutes to kind of just let us know that we can expect a $499 price point. And I do want to move on to the next topic, but before we do, I just got to catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, Crazy Mate Gaming drops an outstanding and additional $5 super chat. Also became a member today. Thanks so much, dude. I super appreciate it. He says this: Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer is bringing it to the people. Lovers and haters all alike will reign all on the Book of X. I love it. Thank you so much. The next super chat comes in from Spider-Man, who's a good supporter of this show. Thank you for being here. And of course, thank you for your outstanding generosity. He drops a $5 super chat and says, enjoying the show. I think Sony is completely unprepared for the next generation and should delay the PS5 until 2021. Also, Juggernaut can destroy the Hulk. Okay. I think that's when we're talking about the statues that you had on.
All right, I got to rebut. I saw it and I was waiting for him to read this super chat. Okay, look here, Spider-Man. Let me tell you something. I know you was in my timeline. I know you got a chance to see both of the statues head to head. We all know what happened, all right? And we all know that at every book, when there's the end of the world, the only person that's still alive is the Hulk. That lets you know for one reason that the Juggernaut is not who you think he is. As a matter of fact, being that I'm a comic book historian, I want you to understand two things. This is where I get the leg up on you, right? The Hulk is called the Immortal Hulk for a reason. That's one, right? Two, right now, Juggernaut is not even the Juggernaut anymore. Cain Marko is not the Juggernaut. Yeah. Oh, Peter's Rasputin, he's the Juggernaut. Oh, who? The Colossus. So I'm sorry that you're a fan of someone, but he just doesn't measure up to Doc Bruce Banner. And you know who he is. He's the Incredible Hulk.
Right?
Well, listen, that was. I want to appreciate the love and respect for the comic history. Real quick, I have another one that just came in. Actually, two. First of all, Sir X-Man drops an additional $5 super chat and says, another advantage that no one thinks about from Microsoft is they have a Play Anywhere phone apps. Believe it or not, it does make a difference along with Game Pass. He's talking about, of course, Project X Cloud, which is the X Factor. No pun intended. Smitty Smith drops an additional $5 super chat and says, Magic Mark Cerny. I'm out here dancing on these earlobes, baby. I can't. I can't keep it up. Listen, I want to talk about. I want to keep Microsoft in the conversation, but not in a price war or who has the bigger D or anything like that. There's been a lot going on with Microsoft and Cyberpunk in the last 24 hours. Yeah. And in fact, the controller leak, which I'm going to bring up right now, and I got to tell you, man, this controller is dope. Here's the box of what this thing looks like, okay? Here's the box of the Cyberpunk official controller that leaked accidentally or on purpose, however you want to look at it, on Amazon France. And we have heard for months now that there's actually going to be a custom console releasing with Cyberpunk in September. Now, here is a better shot of these controllers. Okay, here's side to side. I got to tell you right now, I don't know when they're going to be available for pre-order, but whenever they are, I'm going to suggest that you buy it immediately. This is probably one of the best looking custom controllers that they've ever released. But this is not where it ends. What's interesting and what's really, I guess, thought-provoking or perplexing, if you will, is when you go to Xbox.com, you are greeted with a glitch that looks like this. Now, King, you, my friend, were at E3 2018, and you saw this glitch come up, and that glitch I'm talking about is when Cyberpunk hacked the last part of the presentation for Microsoft, where they closed on a third-party game instead of a first-party game. Very, very unlike Microsoft. And then, if you continue to watch the glitch, cycle through, it ends up saying this: return in 4 days. Now, I don't necessarily know what the H is going on, but I can tell you that the internet has been a firestorm since this has happened. People are excited. People understand that not only is Cyberpunk probably the biggest game this year, taking nothing away from Halo, nothing away from Last of Us, nothing away from any of the Mario games coming out, or even Ghost of Tsushima. But the reality, for a third-party game, Cyberpunk is going to reign supreme, and it's going to sell copies in a way that I don't think has ever been seen. To be honest with you, I think that they're going to reach Grand Theft Auto numbers. That's what I'm thinking. So I want to go to King on this. King, one thing that Microsoft has been getting right as of late is mind share and marketing. And, again, take it for what it's worth. Whether this leak on Amazon was accidentally on purpose or whatever, it got the world talking about Xbox, but it got the world talking about Xbox and Cyberpunk, which, notoriously has already come out and said, hey, folks, listen, you buy your copy of Cyberpunk and you played in September. Guess what? We're going to give you the free upgrade when it's available on your Series X. Don't worry about it. What are your thoughts on this mega move that came out of nowhere?
Okay, so there goes marketing again at Microsoft, right? Isn't it funny how a controller came out for the PlayStation, and here we go talking about a Microsoft controller.
Yeah.
Do you see the correlation to this?
I see punch for punch.
Yeah, it's like Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer's in his bag, sir. He's at a point right now where he's pretty much what you like, the juggernaut. He's unstoppable right now. He's getting going, and it's just full steam ahead. I already told you this is my conspiracy theory on Cyberpunk in general. All right, the conspiracy theory is anything that is shown on that screen at Microsoft's E3 events ends up in Game Pass, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to stick to that because it has been holding true all the way until now. Every game so far that they've been showing ends up in Game Pass at some form or fashion. So here we go again. They show Cyberpunk, right? Now, I believe they're going to let Cyberpunk get their money. Have the marketing rights to Cyberpunk, right?
They do. Okay. That's correct. Yes.
So this is a philosophical change in Microsoft because remember, they were like, we're not really doing the marketing rights things. They understand that this game is key. This game is key when you have games that you have to bank on. So this game actually gives Halo breathing room. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have this game launching day and date in Game Pass when the Series X comes out and Halo is just not right yet, it can come out a month or two later. It gives it breathing room.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great point, dude.
This theory of mine with CD Projekt Red and Microsoft so cozy in the manner that they are leads to my second conspiracy theory. When Microsoft was out purchasing studios, some little birdie was always talking about CD Projekt Red. I'm like, man, you're absolutely nuts. He said, think about it. They absolutely fall in line with Microsoft's philosophy. And if they purchase them, they will allow them to do everything that they normally do anyway. I said, but no, they're not going to do that because they're going to lose the money on Cyberpunk 2077. They're not doing that. No. What we've seen so far where Microsoft purchasing studios that already had deals in place with other console developers and other companies, they allowed them to release the game on that system. They had no choice because that deal was already done before they purchased them. So Cyberpunk will come out on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Cyberpunk, whatever games will trickle down to the Switch. I'm pretty sure the Switch will get a Cyberpunk version. I don't know how, but I'm pretty sure that they will get it. But this leads to my second conspiracy theory that Microsoft has either purchased them or in talks to purchasing CD Projekt Red. And I know it sounds absolutely, completely nuts, but everybody has a price.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I got on it. I honestly believe that this was strategic. They want to show a controller. We got a controller that the world can play with. They want to do this. They're going to hit them left and right. They're going to keep on pushing the narrative. And I believe that is deeper than rap when it comes to Microsoft and CD Projekt Red with this game. It is too much information. In 4 days, when you go back there, they're going to show you a trailer of gameplay footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things I gotta see to believe. That's kind of like Sony. Remember the report Sony was buying Rockstar games.
Yeah, no, yeah. I agree with King. Where it when you say it out loud, it almost sounds preposterous, right? Like this, they are the second richest European developer in that region of the world. Understand this for a second. The amount of monies that the company is worth is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So do they need to be bought is the question. Well, I would probably say no, but King does raise some interesting points. BitCloud, let me bring you in on this particular thing. Now, obviously, you were upfront right away with what happened with the PlayStation 5 controller, which, by the way, I know a lot of people dislike it. I happen to really like it. I cannot wait to get it in my hands. I even like the two-tone thing. People are like, "Oh, that's ugly."
Yeah, they give you a sense of what that controller is going, or that console is going to look like.
Yeah, and you know what? And if it does look like that, that's going to be effective. I got a picture. I'm going to bring it up real quick. I'll bring it back to Cyberpunk.
That one. That's the one I like. I love this one.
This one is. Yes. I hope that this is what it looks like. My God, if it looks like this, I'm going to want two. I'm going to be honest with you because the white that wraps around the black and it has the blue and has the little. Oh, dude, that is dope. This is a dope looking console.
A Series X wrapped in a blanket.
It does. Yes, a nice warm white PlayStation blanket. You're sitting on your couch and you just want to wrap your console and feel nice and cold.
I like the other one that I posted yesterday.
Was it this one?
The one I posted yesterday. Let me see.
No, I think it was
yes. I saw the one that you did. Was
guys, it's a console sleeve.
Okay? Wait, hold on a sec. Mark Cerny coming in. Mark Cerny, listen, I didn't know you were still here. Do you have something to talk about?
I just wanted to say, for your information, it is a console sleeve.
Mark, another question. I have just one. I think everybody has this on the back of their mind. How many Tigers do you own, Mark?
Oh no!
I use rapid pack math. I can't count.
I'm dead.
Oh, God.
I can't do it.
Oh
my God. Okay. Well, listen, Mark, once again, we thank you for your time. I know you're very busy. You're preparing for the launch. So thank you so much for that. BitCloud, getting back to, of course, the tit for tat, if you will. I don't necessarily know what is going to happen in 4 days, but I'm going to say that Microsoft seems to be hitting on all cylinders. Having this marketing deal is mammoth. This is going to be one of the most, I think it's going to be the most played game. And again, they're saying it's going to launch in September with no delays. I honestly believe it is going to be the best-selling game. I don't think it's going to be the best-selling game on the consoles. I think it's going to be the best-selling on PC. I think the consoles are gonna have hefty sales, sure, but I think at the end of the day, people are going to want to run this game in September on settings that would make our eyes bleed. So I think that PC is probably going to be the your oomph, if you will. But with that said, Microsoft seems to just continuously. Every time and again, this is crazy because this is roles reversal from this generation. If you remember, every time Microsoft tried to put some information out there, even if it wasn't the biggest information, Sony would trump them with something amazing. And it seems as if Microsoft has completely pulled the pages out of their book, read it, studied it, and doing exactly what Sony did so well. This is another example of stealing the market share with a controller the same way that Sony did with their PlayStation 5 controller, except this is a controller that's going to go with the game that I think everyone is going to buy. What are your thoughts on this move?
I sent the picture there, but I don't know if David saw it. That's the one.
I like that one too. I actually responded to you on Twitter on that. That's dope.
Yeah, that's that should be the look. But so going back to this controller, first of all, I'll just answer the quick question. The colors, I like the controller. It looks good. I don't like the consoles design that they did for it. No, I don't know why they went with a blue console and a black and red controller. That's weird.
It is a little weird. It's definitely a little weird. I don't know where I'd prefer the console looking like this, to be honest with you. I'd rather it be black and silver with an aged look and some scribbling writing like it says no future and stuff like that. I would prefer that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I honestly would think. But as far as this CD Projekt Red deal, them buying them or working with them, honestly, I just see more of a partnership, more bigger than anything. Kind of similar to what we saw with Bungie and Sony, maybe something like that. That's what's going on here. You know, exclusive rights, or not exclusive rights, but timed rights, maybe to some stuff.
Maybe. I mean, it could be for DLC or something. I know Phil Spencer really doesn't like that.
Yeah,
but something this big, he might be changing his ideology.
Yeah, that's a big purchase for them too. If they did buy them, but at the same time, you gotta think about like if they were to spend and drop this crazy amount of money on CD Projekt Red to buy them, they would have to legit make that up somewhere, right? Their games,
no doubt about it, dude.
Yeah, got at least 1 year exclusivity. That would work. I mean, frig, Sony didn't mind dropping it for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's something that'll be fine. A year exclusivity, that will work for them. Now, as far as Cyberpunk, you saying like being a big thing on PC, I'm seeing mixed results. Like I'm in like a few Discords. I talked to a lot of PC dudes. A lot of people are upset that the game doesn't have a third person point of view mode.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Thing, which I thought was stupid because like didn't they put a big emphasis on customization your character, like customizing your character?
Yes.
So what was the point of a first person?
If you can't see him, then what's the point? Yeah,
what's the point? That was the weird part about it. But maybe
it's kind of like Destiny to me. It's more for the role play. I think it's to get you into the perspective easier.
Yeah, maybe. But if they would went with something like kind of like the Witcher style third person camera. This crazy world, everything, you know, like I think that would have like invest you even more or immerse you more into the world as it is. It looks good as it is, but I'm saying, you know, I want to see more of it. You know, obviously Keanu Reeves is in this damn game. I got to see.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
It just feels like everybody. I don't know. It feels like this game was kind of like dark or like not much else was like shown for the game. No trailers, no gameplay, nothing like that.
That's why you can get it in 4 days.
Yeah, that's could be. I mean, it could again. There could be some strategy with clamming up about it, and then of course in 4 days, which would be Monday. It's gonna be a big deal. I listen. I agree with everything that you're saying. I think that you bring up some valid points. I put it this way. This was, I don't know when this deal was struck, but I know that Microsoft was very aggressive on whatever they offered them to get this because the size of this game just screams PlayStation, like the PlayStation, marketing. It really does. And for Microsoft to get out in front of this and grab this along with like for instance, Elden Rings that's going to be coming out next year. They've already grabbed the marketing rights. That's been confirmed. That's another massive game that they're again the aggressive behavior. King, you as a businessman could appreciate this, but before I'll come back to you. I want to bring Mr. Badbit in on this.
Yeah,
Mr. Badbit.
Okay, someone's driving a motorcycle downstairs. My apologies.
Listen, it's your life, dude. Listen, as long as the motorcycle didn't come through your front window,
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what the hell.
My package over here. Okay, cool.
But listen, Mr. Babbitt, let me ask you this. Obviously, the world was taken on by storm when Sony just out of nowhere just dropped the controller, which again, some people don't like it. I happen to really, really like it. And, obviously it was just a controller. And then a week later, we get this completely, it leak, whatever you want to call. And then, of course, we get the leak. And then we get this, hey, head over to Xbox.com right now. And it's glitching out like the way it did in 2018. And they're saying, be back in 4 days. And it's Cyberpunk. And everyone's writing stories and everyone's doing videos. This is a real unbelievable way for them to, again, retake that market share. First of all, what are your thoughts on the aggressive behavior of this? But what do you think of the controller?
So I have an aggressive feeling about whatever is going on downstairs. Which I'll get to the bottom of in just a moment. But I will say that if I could get a chain of thought, that the controller looks sick. I definitely think like a limited console is coming sooner rather than later. And I think that's what the announcement is. It is, hey, look at this console, look at this controller. Now, the craziest thing would be to say, and this is a Game Pass game. That would be nuts bonkers. But I don't think CD wants to do that. I think they want to make as much money as they can.
I think that they get 3 months. I think what happens is what King said. It comes out in September.
Yeah,
it sells 10 million copies in the first month, which I believe is what they're going to sell. I think that in month 2, which would be October, they sell another 5 million. So 15 million in the first 60 days. I think from there, what you have, and again, it's just complete speculation. And King and I have actually talked about this privately and publicly on shows. The way we think it's going to happen is for the marketing blitz that is going to be both of these consoles, Microsoft's lead dog is going to say, okay, not only are you getting Xbox Game Pass in the box for 3 months, because that's what we've been hearing for a while. It's going to be a 3-month free pass in there for 3 months to really drive the Game Pass service home. But the lead picture in this Game Pass is not just going to be Halo. It's not going to be whatever else they're going to be releasing. It's going to be Cyberpunk front and center. And when you can tell your potential buyers that, hey, by the way, you're going to buy the box. We have a box for the maximum spending or someone who just wants to kind of dip their toe in. Here's a 3-month pass. Oh, and by the way, the 15 million selling Cyberpunk Game of the Year potential, whatever, blah, 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 is in Game Pass. My God, you have something special.
Boom. The reason why I honestly believe it's going to be in Game Pass, and I honestly just believe this game is going to be in that date and date thing. This is the only game that they talked about with the smart delivery, and it's going to upgrade straight to the X.
We're actually gonna. That's the closing story of today. We're gonna be bringing that up right after. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that in a second.
But before the noise starts again, I do think we got to keep our expectations in check here. We can't have another Gears Tactics thing.
Very smart.
Yeah, we got our.
That was embarrassing. Yes,
and I would love to see this in Game Pass, but this is a huge AAA, banger. So I think we're getting a limited time console. I don't think Microsoft is going to be buying CD Projekt Red out because CD has. Look, they're the second largest developer in Europe. In Europe, they own GOG.
Yes,
so no reason. They have complete control over their IP right now. They have no reason to go to Xbox. None whatsoever. There's nothing.
It's true. 100%. Yes.
More sense.
Be right back. One second. I'm going to investigate this, guys.
All right. Well, listen. Let him go take care of it, so no one's running through his house with a chainsaw or anything. Make sure he's going to come back, right? I mean, obviously, his safety is paramount. But Noof Nukem, let's bring you in on the back end of this controller / marketing ploy. The one thing that I will say about Microsoft's aggressiveness since the beginning of December, and I harken back to December 12th, we have seen moves and behavior that we only saw in the Xbox 360 days. And I kind of want to keep bringing them up because Jared West was rehired in this early December. And we have a complete confirmation that he is running the marketing for the Xbox Series X. Now, I understand that this is a controller for the Xbox One, but all of the marketing is under one team. So, again, looking back at what PlayStation did, they really did turn a lot of heads with that controller. I mean, a lot of people really enjoyed it. And again, I am definitely one of them, and I will be buying a second one. I'm hoping that they have different colors because I'm definitely going to want to have a few of them. But when you look at how they turned heads, right? This controller accidentally on purpose leaks by Amazon France, right? We have all of these pictures come out of the box of side-by-side comparisons. And then suspiciously enough, the same day that this happens, an hour later, the Xbox.com site gets taken over by a glitch very similar to what we saw at the end of E3 2018. And it says, we'll see you in return in 4 days. Once again, completely turning the head of the gamer from the Sony box to now the Microsoft box. Well, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, let me just start off by saying the controller, I'm not a big fan. Look, after seeing a lot of Xbox Pope's designs, this one to me falls quite short.
Xbox
But it is
the man, by the way.
But it is what it is. I mean, obviously the controller doesn't surprise me because Microsoft's been notorious this generation for having controllers. That much we know. The custom console, on the other hand, that's a little bit different. We haven't seen a lot of custom consoles over the past 4 or 5 years, with the exception of the Minecraft one was sort of the big one they did with the S, and then last year they did the Gears of War 5 custom console, which is amazing, by the way. And Boom, you can attest to that because I know you just recently got yours. Like, I don't know, that has to be right up there in the top 5 for sure, best custom consoles I think I've ever seen. But why not? Why not go all in? Because this essentially, I mean, in terms of Microsoft, before they transition over to kind of bringing out the Halos of the world, the Halo Infinite, this is sort of the last big hurrah. This is one of the last major games that they can sort of tout. I mean, yes, it is going to come out on both consoles. Like, we get that, but Microsoft has the marketing in this one, and they know if they want to make a splash before the transition, they want to start selling some Xbox One S's or Xbox One X's. Why not go big? Why not go big or go home? And it's, give people an extra reason to go out and dump some more money on this console. I mean, I think the console looks okay too, but again, I've seen better custom editions. But this game is huge. There's no doubt about it. People know who CD Projekt Red is. They know they ride the curtails of one of the best games this generation in The Witcher. So yeah, go all in on Cyberpunk. Bring it out, and I definitely think it's coming. They're going to go out with this console and hopefully have a strong holiday season sales. And this might be one of the things that brings the Xbox numbers up, for say, internally, because they never release these things. Because obviously, I think the Series X is going to be successful, but it is going to be a staggered success because, again, of the economy the way it is now, and because the price point is going to be drastically different. So, if you're a CD Projekt Red fan and you like custom designs, and this is going to be the one to get. And I definitely think there's some more big news on the way when it comes to these guys at Microsoft. They're teaming up for big stuff.
Yeah, no, great point. Listen, before I move on to the final topic of today's show, and it's a very interesting one. First of all, I want to welcome back Mr. Bad, but thank God no one was running around your house in a chainsaw. I was concerned for your safety as an ex-police officer. Are you okay?
So I was going to say, I gotta go, guys, because apparently my father and my brother have the bright idea to start ripping the ceiling of the living room right now to fix a leak that's being caused in the upstairs bathroom. So, guys, this is a terrific talk. I gotta go before the noise starts.
Is that again. A Walmart Canada leak?
Yeah, I heard a lot of boots there, so I don't know. It could be.
Well, listen, I'm glad. All jokes aside, I'm glad that you're okay. Brother. Obviously, listen, it was great working with you. We're going to be working again next week together, at least 2 days. Thank you for being here, dude. And obviously, hopefully everything works out with the leak. And if there is more leaked information, a part of this leak, you must call me immediately.
Listen, if we find black mold, yeah, you know it. Everybody, have fun.
Take care, brother.
You, man.
Peace out.
Stay asleep.
Yes, we certainly will. Yes, Mr. Badbit, obviously, listen, I'm going to say this about him. Not only is he a gentleman, not only is he a diehard gamer, he is one of the realest dudes I've ever had a part of this show. And I encourage you to please get over to Mr. Badbit Gaming on YouTube and sub his channel and check out the trophy room. His content is absolutely fantastic. But let me just get these super chats. A very good friend of the show, Fastback OG from the NLG podcast, drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this: great show so far with respect for gaming gaming dialogue with each other. Game what, where, how you like, plus Hulk will smash Juggernaut. I think we're all well aware of that. Thank you so much. And another super chat came in. Sir X-Men shows his generosity once again with an outrageous $2 super chat and says, set your DM for PS5 design. Boom. Check it out. I'm definitely gonna be doing that. Thank you so much, because he's always sending me stuff. And Rain G4, hey dude, thanks so much for being here. Want to thank you for your outstanding $2 super chat and says this: is it important for PS5 to have smart delivery? Well, we are going to answer that question right now, my brother, as we move on to the final topic of today's outstanding show. Now, here's the thing. With Phil Spencer confirming that the smart delivery system is going to be a key aspect for the Xbox Series X and S moving forward, it is, in my opinion, put a huge amount of pressure on Sony's PlayStation 5. Now, what made this even worse for the current market leader is that the industry fan favorite CD Projekt Red, who we just were talking about, was the first big-time developer to come out and support this incredible feature. And here is what they had to say. Gamers should never be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades. And owners of Cyberpunk 2077 for the Xbox One will receive the Xbox Series X upgrade for free when available. This was pulled directly from the Cyberpunk 2077 official Twitter account. Now, here is some more damning comments that are currently shining a bad light on the market leader, and their utter and complete silence on the matter is, in my opinion, a bad look, quite frankly. Here's another quote from CD Projekt Red that's even more shocking. It says this. Like I said, we officially confirmed both the update and the cross-gen availability, meaning that you'll be able to play the game from the get-go on next generation. The same cannot be confirmed for Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation, as the developer is waiting for Sony to make announcements regarding cross-gen upgrades, and they do not want to jump the gun ahead of them. Now, there's no official announcement coming from PlayStation, and this is what CD Projekt Red has to say. As of right now, there is no official announcement coming from PlayStation, so we really can't confirm nor deny anything. It's PlayStation that first needs to address the issue, and then we will be happy to make a comment, but we can't jump the gun ahead of them. So, King David, I want to go to you first on this, because the one thing I thought was pretty ingenious was the way Phil, specifically focused on the smart delivery system and how important it was going to be. It basically put all of the other developers on notice. And again, it makes you wonder, Mr. King David, with your original theory, why CD Projekt Red was the first one to come out and say, hey, you're going to get an upgrade and it's not going to cost anything. You don't have to buy the game twice. Again, suspicious timing. Do you think that Sony's lack of confirmation on this feature is damning in any way?
Okay. Those are two loaded questions. All right. And let me unload these guns. All right. So Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer, soon to be Aurelius, sir.
I can't wait for that to happen.
Yes, Aurelius, y'all is in trouble. He understands the importance of letting people know exactly what they can look forward to going forward with the Series X, because I think before, the messaging with the Xbox One was messed up, and he wants to be completely clear. He wants you to understand that going forward, certain things will be a staple. This would be what we're talking about. We're focusing on games. We brought studios for games. We're focusing on power. We're focusing on hardware. Now, we know Microsoft as software giants. They work great in software. We know Sony as they make some of the most beautiful looking hardware.
Yes.
They are hardware. I was just talking about this with Lord Cognito last night. I feel aesthetically, and BitCloud, the one that you send in the DM, that one looks nice, but form and function, these systems run hot. I don't think it's going to be.
It's probably like that V one for sure. That dev kit, it's going to get close to it. They're going to be big.
I hope so. A lot of vents, but I feel that right now they don't have the software in place to yell out smart delivery. See, Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer does. So he can definitively tell you, oh, you know that game, that Cyberpunk 2077, the one that you're looking at, the one that you want. Well, he knows that game is going to be able to be played elsewhere. But here's an added caveat to how we will give you the game. If you purchase the game because the game is going to come out before the new systems, don't worry. If you're planning on upgrading, don't worry. The game that you purchased over there is going to get a free upgrade over here because we have this thing called smart delivery. And that's going to happen with our games going forward. This is something that you can look forward to. So what they did was they gave the purchaser confidence that his purchase will not be the same at the end when he upgrades. It will actually be enhanced. And that actually put doubt on Sony. Because when CD Projekt Red comes out and says, well, you know, we don't want to talk about the issue. What issue? See, when you say it's an issue, then it sounds like it's a problem. When it says it's a problem, it sounds like something's wrong. Now there's more doubt. So I honestly believe that Sony is probably working on it. Probably they didn't fix it just right, that it actually works in the manner that they want it to work in. All right. So, or maybe this game they can't do it with yet because they're focusing on their own games to get their games. So because when Magic Mark Cerny came out and told you 100 of your best games, and they're going to look at those games to make those games backwardly compatible with your PlayStation 4. That didn't tell you off the rip where Microsoft tells you thousands of games from day one will be playable on your Series X, where, you know, Sony is giving you, okay, your best games. So what do you mean my best games? I like this type of game. I'm in a minority, you know, I don't like God of War. What about this game that I like? Did it not make the cut? So there goes more doubt again. And I think they're working hard on the software side of things. I think at this point in time, this virus, this pandemic, this stuff that's going on now actually hurt them more because they were less prepared to work in cubicles isolated from each other, opposed to working as a group and units that are in hand to hand that can lean over and say, hey, how, or, you know, stuff like that. I think this really hurt them a little bit more. So they're behind on the software side of things, opposed of, you know, the hardware. I think the hardware is really nailed down, but they don't want to, you know, put the cart in front of the horse. So honestly, I think they are trying to get it to work. And yes, it is crucial for Sony to have this, because if this component is inside your competitor's box that makes older games get elevated to newer games gen level, that puts you at an automatic disadvantage, because that means that that person will have to purchase that game twice. And if you're telling somebody that, I think that's going to hurt you when it comes to branding and marketing of the game.
Yeah, I mean, well, the one thing I would not be concerned about is their first party. I would imagine that all first party games are going to be upgraded. I mean, I would love to hope so. I mean, I know that in the beginning of the PlayStation 4, they sold an HD remaster of The Last of Us. But to be fair, a lot of people didn't get a chance to play. You know, they didn't buy The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 because they were upgrading to the PlayStation 4. So I mean, I give Sony credit for releasing, because I bought it. I buy all the HD upgrades that they have. I don't care. I'm a fan. Plus, it's more trophies, so I'm all good with that. BitCloud, let's bring you in on this particular thing. Have you heard anything behind the scenes as to a smart delivery type system that Sony just hasn't talked about?
All right, so to rebuttal what King just said, again, if you go back to the situation, first, this goes back to the first topic. They said COVID-19 put a big wrench into a lot of stuff that they plan to do in the article.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The PR team is behind because of COVID-19. They haven't even shown the hardware. So, of course, they haven't announced smart delivery and none of this stuff because the actual box has not been shown. There hasn't been a proper reveal for the console. You will get this stuff when they show the console. Keep in mind, a lot of people said that PS5 was not going to have variable rate shading. They announced that at the GDC conference. It does have that through the Geometry engine. People thought that the console was going to have a bunch of insanely large games that was going to fill that hard drive up, and they confirmed that they're using Kraken decompression to get these things done. So I'm saying you're going to have all this on PS5. The thing about CD Projekt Red, and it's actually smart, but it's telling how they said it and how they structured their sentence. Yeah, they can't. They're waiting for Sony to clarify because they don't want to announce anything ahead of time, because you have to make sure they're ready first before they can announce whether they're going to do this. Sony has not said anything because they haven't announced their event yet. Once you get your event and your announcement, then they'll start going, yeah, these games are going to work on their day one. You'll get your updates, et cetera, there. But they haven't done it just yet. You're going to get that very, very soon, though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, when they do this. Is it the middle of June? Is it the end of June? Is it July? Is it going to be? I don't think it's going to be any further than that. I think that most of these companies are going to want to get their stuff out before the summer is over, simply because word of mouth. Could be there's no E3, there's no events being planned, and there's not going to be any for the rest of the year. With the world situation going on, so they're going to want plenty of wiggle room to get out there and get people talking. So I'm looking forward to whatever event that they plan. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be great to finally get a chance to see what the console looks like. We're going to get a release date, more than likely. We're going to get hopefully an idea what the console actually looks like, and we'll get all the other information regarding what's going to be the innards of this thing. Real quick,
announced that they're. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
it's okay. No, it's okay. Keep going.
Mention enhanced titles, did he not? When he said the boost mode at the boot,
yes, that is correct.
PS5 will have boosted PS4 games. PS4 games will get the next gen. Well, not really, not like a redesign, right? But they will. No,
they're the same way the X does it. Yes.
Yeah. Some of the X, they're gonna get that. They're gonna get those refinements. They're gonna get those better textures. They're gonna have better load times. Like
some games might even run at 60 rather than 30.
Exactly. Games that were locked or had unlocked frame rate will probably run at a locked higher frame rate or like that. That'll be up for the developer again. And he did make a good point too. He said some of these games that were mentioned, and I think Austin Evans did this too when he did his breakdown of Xbox One X. He was like, these games, granted, guys, have not been optimized for smart delivery yet, but they're running really, really good on it with the added no load times. You remember that when he was showing?
It was when they were showing the gears running at 100 frames.
Right. So I'm thinking it's very similar with PS5. What they're doing there is just I'm thinking, of course,
it's going to be a different name. That's all. So it's going to be a different name.
As well, they have to do to get the first party. Some of the first party really could benefit from that, like Bloodborne for sure. Days Gone. Days Gone would run like a treat on the new hardware.
It probably would run fantastic. You wouldn't get any of the clipping, any of the slowdown, any of the issues with the zombie hordes. It probably run flawless, like they originally intended it to.
It would have ran flawlessly had they gave it the support that it needed. But I'm just not saying anything. I'm just
they got the market they needed.
I'm gonna buy that game. I haven't brought that game yet, and I really want that game.
I put 30 hours into it. I
buy Death Stranding, King. Shame on you. I said you'll buy that, but you won't buy Death Stranding. Look at you.
No, I would not buy Death Stranding. No, I'm not going to support that game, and I have my little reasons why. But I don't want that game. I do not want to be delivering packages, and I can care less about that Kojima game that is actually a movie with little bit parts for me to act in. I don't care about that game at all. I want to run from zombies and shoot stuff and do.
He tells you, David, in the soundtrack, don't be so serious.
No, not at all. I want to shoot zombies and run from stuff. I want to live in little apocalypse lands. That's what I want to do. But I do not want to do packaging delivery and running from.
There is a lot of delivery next week when I move into my new house. So
see, you don't want that either. You see,
you definitely. Well, listen. Let me get this. Let me get the super chat, and we're gonna bring Newfin, and we'll close out this particular topic. JD Gamer drops an outstanding and a very generous $5 super chat and says this. It just went past my hands. Here we go. Sony is trying to sell people loot boxes according to the recent patents, so we know they're coming for your pocket. So beware when they charge for little things. I hope that's not the case. And a very good and very generous friend of the show, PixelBitG, drops a $10 super chat and says this: don't let these guys conflate a boosted copy versus a full upgrade. They are not the same thing. Boosted equals benefits from new hardware. Smart delivery means built for the new hardware specifically. So yeah, I mean, again, there is a difference between between the boost mode, which is what you're getting now on the X. You're getting that on the X with a good portion of titles, as opposed to something like what CD Projekt Red is completely going in and making it for next generation. Yeah. But Noof, let's bring in on this. Obviously, listen, there are a couple of ways to look at this particular way that in a non-provoking type of manner, Phil Spencer got out there and talked about the smart delivery. I don't know whether he knew that Sony wasn't ready to talk about it, but it definitely took the light and put it onto Sony with no response. And then following suit, of course, CD Projekt Red comes out and they confirm this, and you get a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd. And still, Sony is not ready to talk about it. Are they going to have something similar? There's no doubt about it. But their silence, I think, has hurt them to some extent. And again, it just continues that very aggressive market share stealing thing that Microsoft is doing. What are your thoughts on Sony not saying anything yet?
Well, again, we've talked about marketing and how they go about their console business, and when it comes to tech and how they display things, it's also very different. Because maybe it's because we're Xbox fans and we're a little bit more honed in on this side of the business, I suppose, with their stuff. But Sony hasn't been overly transparent with a lot of things. You know what I mean? And they don't articulate a lot of things very well through their social media platforms and stuff either, unless they have something to boast or brag about. That's something they do notoriously well. When they got a major announcement or they got some great numbers that they like to put out there, they're pretty quick on that draw. But as far as like the tech side of things and what they're doing behind the scenes, we know very little. But we've heard time and time again from Phil Spencer himself has said that they work extremely close with a lot of the developers. They ask them what kind of hardware they want. They ask them what sort of specs they need. They work very closely with the PC side of the community, and obviously they're optimizing and implementing a lot of these tech features into the consoles. And we're going to see what I think you definitely see with Cyberpunk when the version comes out that is ready and sort of taking advantage of the Series X. Is we are going to see the higher texture quality that's guaranteed, and you're going to see things like, again, the implementation of ray tracing, perhaps better HDR implementation throughout the game as well. And we already saw with good HDR, not the fake HDR, not the weird shit, but we've seen how companies, even with HDR lighting and effects in the older games and using the Xbox One X, have improved games quite a bit with more pop, more visual, So the smart delivery, I can't really go in on it too much because I don't know enough about it yet. I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic for the consumer, and I like where they're going with it. But again, I can't really weigh in too much because I don't know the tech side of it too much as well. But I think it's fantastic, and I think it's great that CD Projekt Red aren't going to double dip on their consumer base. And I totally agree that there's a difference between the true implementation of effects built for Series X and stuff that is, again, enhanced for the older consoles. And what you will see is through smart delivery things like maybe a little bit better frame rate, maybe some faster load times and stuff like that. But then you get the upgraded version for the new console, and boy, like pop kaboom, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and as we close in on the 2-hour mark, I want to thank everybody for the patience while I was away for that. I don't know if it was 6 or 7 minutes, and of course, I have to thank the unbelievable professionalism of this panel continuing on as my power was reset during a live show. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is annoying as all hell. But real quick before we get on out of here, we do the outros. Mark Cerny, I want to get your last bit on the what we're talking about, because people have been quiet and people want to know: is there a smart delivery system? Do people have a concern to be worried whether Sony is going to charge for visual upgrades?
We will have our very own way of bringing you the best quality that is possible with the PlayStation. You just have to be patient. We have found amazing ways to stretch our technology out to our fans, and we've done it through things like, again, the rapid pack math, and we have the 9.2 teraflops for the 10. It gets a little higher depending on how much traffic is going through our PlayStation. So I think we're really in good shape here, Mr. Boomstick, and I hope that people will just get behind us. There's big things to come.
Well, thank you, Mark. Certainly appreciate you coming here and spending the time, because I know that you're very busy. But of course, let's get to the outros. And
I'm sorry, I think Mark Cerny's been watching too much Tiger King, man.
Possibly, Tiger King is key in everyone's life right now. We'll start with the outros, and Big Cloud, I want to start with you because you are our regular panel member that is still here, and you have something going on this afternoon. You have your own awesome show on Friday afternoons, but you also not only are very active on social media, you have an outstanding YouTube channel. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check you out on both social media platforms alike, as well as your outstanding YouTube channel.
Well, I told you, me and David weren't going to destroy the show, did I not? We weren't.
Yes, I was. I believe that you guys were not going to destroy the show.
Well, we were doing one-on-one, head-to-head, but it's like good show. Shout out to everybody in the chat, that like button. You guys can follow me at Big Cloud on Twitter, YouTube, same name. And at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, RGT podcast episode, I think it's 109 or 110. So we're pretty much up there. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys later.
Well, thanks again for being here, dude. Always appreciate your honesty and, of course, your knowledge in the gaming verse that we call video games. But next up, you know him as the king. I know him as a brother. Your Majesty, thank you so much for giving us the real nitty-gritty about the business side, as well as, of course, your personal opinions regarding everything we talked about. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out lordsofgaming.net, King of Statues, as well as the Iron Lords podcast that goes live this Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yes, boom, yo, thank you. I had a great time with you guys. Noof, Big Cloud.
Mark Cerny.
He just had me dead over. I was waiting for him to say something about earlobes, I swear. But I thought,
well, the show's not over yet.
And
what, King? You didn't hear?
Oh no!
No, I mailed you my earlobes.
We are endorsing Sony Q-tips for the next generation.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
That's the nightmare that would be. They send you Q-tips and they say, "Hey,
he likes clean ears." I just want you to know that.
That's their new smart delivery for you right there, a bag of Q-tips.
like, you get a damn card. Like, okay, make sure you keep that card with you when you buy the headset. You swipe it, they know which one to get you. Like, come on.
That's disgusting. and bad. Yo, I thought we was finished with memory cards. This is going to be the bane of our existence going in the next generation.
Yes, it is.
And it will be back at a premium price. Trust me when I tell you this, guys. That's going to be the real fight. The fight is going to get that system in your house. The fight is going to be that. But you can find me on Twitter at King OTW. All right. So if y'all was looking at Lord King David, you were following someone else. It wasn't me. But yeah, listen.
I want King David.
It was great to be here, and I really have fun. So when Boom tells me, "Yo, can you come through on Friday?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, man!" I really hate to tell Boom no. I try not to schedule things on Friday in anticipation of Boom shouting me out and saying, "Yo, you next up to bat." I'm like, "Yes, let's do it." So I had a great time, guys, and I can't wait for the next time.
No, I appreciate it very much. And last but not least, Noof Nukem, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I know I notified you late on this one yesterday, and your response was classic. It said, hey, Noof, do you want to be a part of the show? And he says, does a bear shit in the woods? And the answer is, yes, it does. So he's here for your entertainment. And Noof, obviously, you yourself have an amazing weekly show with the lovely Primal Eve, a show that talks about adult things, but also talks about relevant gaming things as well. Very interesting and a lot of fun to listen to. You also have your own YouTube channel, and of course, you are extremely active in the community by gaming with many that are in this chat right now, as well as being very vocal on Twitter. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your weekly show.
Well, first off, I definitely got to get away from Twitter a little bit. That gets extremely toxic, and I'm to blame sometimes. I poke the tiger, so to speak. Speaking of Tiger King, I'm pretty sure old Joe Exotic's up there. I saw a tiger, and the tiger saw a man, and now I'm in prison with a guy named Peter Pan. Okay, but yeah, no, man, it's always fun to be here. Fantastic panel. King David, BitCloud, Mr. Big Bit, Bad Bit, Big Bit.
Yeah, Mr. Bad Bit, yes.
Bad Bit, and of course yourself, Boom. It's always an honor, man, to be here. Fantastic show, great topics. Man, that first one really ran a mile, but it's fun. And yes, guys, Tuesday nights at 10 Eastern. Generally, it's Gaming After Dark. Myself and Primal Eve. Sometimes we have a few guests on there as well, which we got to try to get you guys from this panel on here at some point.
Absolutely, dude.
Just say the word, guys. Say when you got a free night, and I'll definitely send you the invite. It's hard to know, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I also want to just let everybody know that depending on what happens with my internet situation right now, because I'm moving next week on Thursday, as a matter of fact, and it looks like I'm having trouble getting my cable provider to come out and do the install stuff. So, yeah, I don't know how long. I might be out of action for a little while, just because they don't want to send any staff out. And I respect and understand where they're coming from for their safety and the safety of ourselves, but it's going to suck big time. So we'll just see what happens. I'll definitely keep you guys posted. I do have access to social media through my phone, so that's a bonus right there. But anyway, you guys are awesome. The chat is fantastic. Lots of great conversations going on there each and every week as well, guys. And again, remember too, as well, it's just jokes. Sorry, my Cerny wasn't as good this week. But a little more preparation on that one, and I'm sure I'll butter that one up as well, just like the old Arnold, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, dude, it's always great to have you on.
I wanted to say I can't let the show go before I get out there, and I wanted to wish all you guys the best. Make sure you stay safe out there. Stay away from the idiots. Keep your distance. People with bad breath, guaranteed they've got coronavirus. Stay away from them, okay? And stay away from the weirdos like Mark Cerny with the Rapid Pack math. I don't know why he's on the show, but he gets on here and he just babbles on and he sounds like a freaking elf stuck in a bag. You guys, you take care of yourself and ride your bicycles, play some video games, but just out there with it.
Ride your bicycle.
Well, listen, dude, really appreciate that, Aaron. Didn't expect you to make it through. Actually, thank you so much for that. It was an extra guest that we didn't anticipate. But listen, once again, I want to close the show with this. First of all, we had almost 350 people live in the chat, and that's a big deal for a small show. So, of course, I want to thank everybody who took the time to come out and hang out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed not only the banter between 5 gaming professionals, but you enjoyed the topics as well. And of course, I have to say this before we get out of here. The super chats that continue to come in are just really unbelievably humbling. I cannot thank the generosity of you guys and gals enough. It is really unreal how generous you have been, and I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, truly appreciate it. And of course, I'm going to close out with the show that I do every week. It might be lame for some. It was what made me the better police officer that I was for 21 plus years. And my dad taught us something that I think is more important now than it's ever been. And they're very, very small statements, but I think they hold a lot of weight. And he used to tell us when I sit on his knee, he used to say, son, you treat others how you want to be treated. And he said, the other thing I thought was important was, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And when you're a kid, you don't really understand that until you get a little older and a little more seasoned. And you understand that being nice doesn't really cost anything. And some people act as if it does. But more importantly, if you want to be treated like a person, you yourself have to be the one treating others the same way. And you live by these rules, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy gaming on whatever console that you enjoy gaming on. And we will see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.